What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause volatility in the stock price, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So going into this upcoming week, expectations are very low. You have a lot of individuals citing that Monday is going to be more of a Black Monday, just like a 20% pullback. Jim Cramer stated that, so maybe inverse might happen and we might actually boost higher. But I want to go over kind of my thoughts and one signal that might allude to what might be coming. But fear and greed index is under the extreme fear category. 4, meaning people's appetite for risk isn't necessarily on the table. Data points for this upcoming week should be a fun one. So you have a couple of Fed speakers beginning part of the week. Wednesday, you have the FOMC minutes. Thursday, you have CPI followed by PPI, and then Michigan consumer sentiment on Friday. So every one of those data points has the ability in among itself to really move the market. So it should be a very volatile week ahead. So starting off though, nothing really planned for SoFi for this upcoming week. They did announce the date of their earnings, so it is April the 29th at 7 a.m. So normally a good about 70% of the time you have some FOMO leading into SoFi's earnings. I would love to say that might actually start soon, possibly even this week, but I feel like given the circumstances, nobody's really going to be thinking about SoFi's earnings. So it might be an interesting type of scenario. Going into this upcoming week though, 13.01% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 140.15 million shares. Shorts have started to really get back in, as you can kind of see right here. So went from about 11.73 to where it is now at 13. So nothing crazy, but I feel given the market circumstances, and if let's say I think the market, on a side note, is just waiting for retaliations coming from either Europe or some other entity. And if that does happen, then you will see shorts really double down, maybe get back to that 16% range. So we'll just have to wait and see how that does play out. But cost to borrow minimum is negative, so meaning still that broker out there is paying people to short SoFi. But looking at the options, you do see a consensus for it to be roughly around that $12 range for the most part. Bears kind of for it to be sub 8, so something to kind of keep in mind. Open interest for this upcoming week, you're not seeing any walls whatsoever. So if in theory, for whatever reason, SoFi and just the broader market does recover, it is free to run up without any direct actual manipulation. But there's one thing that I like to look at that kind of gives a little bit more of a sense what might be coming, and that is crypto. Some people might disagree, some people whatever, but ultimately what really moves crypto is people's appetite for risk and consumers' buying power. Given the circumstances, you are starting to see even Ripple down 3.08 right now, Ethereum down, Bitcoin's down like 1%. So that goes to show that you might see a little bit more of a red Monday. So it's kind of 50-50. I feel like some people are speculating that we'll have a push higher. Some are speculating that we'll go down. I think this does signal people's appetite for risk. So let me know your general thoughts on that. Going into this upcoming week though, with it at $9.57, it is trading between this S2 and this S3. So $8.41 will be that next strong support. $9.96 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. And honestly, given the circumstances, you could possibly see both touched, or either of them touched, in the first couple of trading days of this week. So dependent on how bad of a sell-off does occur, you could see 841, or flip side, if there is a nice reversal, then 996. So just kind of take note of that. But aside from that though, with them announcing their earnings, usually analyst ratings do follow. Doesn't logically make sense why we get ratings before SoFi's earnings, but I think we might be getting like a good about 3 or 4 over the next 2 weeks, most likely. So again, something to kind of consider. Sometimes they're bullish, sometimes they're bearish. I think they all have their kind of motives on why they're doing it before the earnings. But as far as on the actual chart for this upcoming week, there's only one positive thing to bring up, and that is the fact that it's oversold. So stochastic RSI, you see it at 14.29, so very oversold. So a good piece of news, you could see a nice recovery. A couple of key levels as well to watch for is that ALMA, $10.83, and then $11.30, that is that 200-day moving average. So SoFi and just many stocks out there are in a little bit of a death spiral right now. So hopefully Europe and other entities and countries don't retaliate. Let's say we also have some negotiations that do occur between China, because I think that's a very big player in the broader market. And so, yeah, it's going to be a fun time. And on a side note, I've seen a couple accounts out there. I know I've brought this up in the past, but I'm just going to state it again. The fact that people are right that SoFi does not directly get tariffed on any of their products or anything like that, but indirectly consumers suffer, and that is why and what's really affecting SoFi. So I feel like a lot of people maybe just aren't really understanding kind of the whole basis of it, but nonetheless, it should be a very volatile week. In my opinion, I do feel that there will be a little bit of a pullback come Monday, but Tuesday onwards, you're going to see a nice recovery. And then I think Wednesday, Thursday, Friday will be based on the data. So CPI, PPI, Michigan consumer sentiment, and that one has been horrific. 4 consecutive very negative reports. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what does come. So let me know your thoughts on SoFi. Throw your price predictions in the comments below. Where do you see things going? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon. I get buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Many of them have been absolutely on point and bangers. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.